Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I am James, one of your hosts, and I would like to welcome you in for a very special episode of the Polarized Podcast, where we talk about polarizing movies, polarizing films, polarizing cinema, and we hash it out and we try to decide how we feel about it. But the reason that we are here is because these people on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics and the audiences, they disagree on the movies that we talk about. Maybe the critics like it. Maybe the audiences hate it, or vice versa. And it's the former today. The critics love this comedy. The critics love this action comedy made in 2016. An R-rated action comedy critically favored. Keanu, a one-word movie, one of those one-word movies, and the name is the name of one little kitty cat. I am James yet again, just to remind you, had you not taken that in, but it is not just me, and I would like to bring in my very, very special, there's a lot of special things happening today, and I want to introduce you to my friend, my co-host, straight from the bar, the great Brandini is here yet again.
Hey-o! Hey, yo, James! How's it going?
Hey, Brandon, what's happening?
Man, it felt so good to hear you introduce this podcast because it's been a minute and it feels good to be back. Baby.
Yes.
I'm feeling good about it, though. How about you?
I feel
doing
great.
Okay?
Yes, it's been a minute. I took a little trip.
Took a little trip with me
with Brandini to Europe, and that was fun. And I'm back now, and it's holiday season. I'm enjoying myself now. I'm not sure when this will be coming out, but it's Keanu
I'm coming up
time, baby.
And
I miss being here, and I miss talking about movies with my friends. And
me too.
All the movies that we talk about, people disagree on. Sometimes even we disagree on things, but we're gonna see how we feel about this one, by the end of things. Not often. Usually, a lot of times we do agree. Spoiler alert: we do agree on a lot of our stuff. But
He loves and hates of these movies, I think we tend to agree similarly often, but we do lean one way or the other.
Yes. And I recently asked you to make a letterbox list. I almost want to make another one of like one-word movies, like what are the best one-word movies, and this best or worst one-word movies, whatever they may be. I think this is what was that? Scream. Scream. Scream.
What's
yes.
another one?
The new Wonka movie. I haven't even seen it yet.
Wonka. Okay.
No. And Maestro. Damn it! I'm thinking of all the new movies that I haven't seen yet. Damn it.
Napoleon.
No! I haven't seen that either. Oh God. Oh jeez.
Oh boy.
Damn it. Yeah. See, now I can't even answer my own question. This is one that's gonna just gradually throughout the episode. I'm gonna think of another Gladiator. Okay. Yep. Okay. No, it's just
cool.
There you go. It's gonna gradually Jaws. Okay. Yep. It's gonna gradually come.
It's like a tick. Throughout this episode, get ready for just us to heat.
Every now and then. And this is not just any ordinary episode. I want to say right now as well, we have a very special guest joining us for this ep. Did you know that, Brandon?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
Were you made aware of that?
Yes. I was phoned about it.
Okay, good. I don't want to you should probably be sitting down for this because motherfucking Chip is here too, and he is going to be joining us.
Is here.
Ring. Hello, it's me. How's it going, gentlemen? How are we tonight?
Ring on the Chip phone.
God,
he answers the call.
There's another one-word movie. I was just thinking about it, but I know that's technically one word, right? Is it not?
Wait, what's that Kevin Costner movie called?
Waterworld.
Field of Dreams.
What's the golf one?
Bagger Vance. No.
I'm gonna find out. But Waterworld is a one word.
It's a one word. It's a one word.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Chip, glad to have you finally on
Tin
the
Cup.
pod.
It's 2 words.
Tin Cup's close.
2 words.
It's only 6 letters. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Tin
happy
Cups.
to be here, Brandon. Appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been wanting to have you on this pod for a while, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about what movies we should do to get you on here. And yeah, you had told me that you have kind of a personal connection to this movie, and I was like, well, then it has to be that, because it is polarizing. And so yeah, I'm excited for you to be on here, especially I think you've been kind of bearing the lead even with me on the story a little bit. I know you had mentioned it slightly, but yeah.
Yeah, so the year was 2016. The movie was just coming out, and we were really excited to see it. It looked kind of silly, as you know, like Jordan and Keegan are making these awesome movies. They're doing these great comedies, and it was a couple buddies of mine.
Ended. To provide some context, Key and Peele really just ended. This is something that overall was a pretty reverent show. I think it had like 5 seasons all in all.
Huge on YouTube. It was like huge on like reruns, and YouTube was a big thing. Like people wouldn't even watch the show. They would watch the sketches on YouTube and then pass around the single sketches, and those would hit really big, and people wouldn't even watch it on Comedy Central. And that was a clear indicator of the things to come.
That's so interesting too, to think about it in context to how well a lot of these jokes land and don't land, because there are parts of this that are funny and other parts that you could argue are not funny, and we'll get into it. And to think about this show being just mainly watched as highlight reels on YouTube makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. This sectioned out that way, kind of this movie, but continue. Chip, with your story, please.
These dudes were just, funny. They're like, knee slappers, right? The quotables, kind of like when we were younger and watched the Chappelle Show. And I know that, they pretty much, took off right after, where he kind of left off. So, we were getting ready to go watch the show or the movie, and kind of excited about it. And we might have pre-gamed a little bit, as one might do for kind of a silly action comedy.
Stoner comedy? Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And maybe we gotten into some edibles beforehand, and then I think we went to friends of ours and did like a bottle share beforehand. So we were, drinking these big craft beers that are, really famous here in San Diego. And we got the bright idea.
I'd say that's the right idea for this movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah, just kind of load it up and have a good time. It's a buddy comedy kind of, or so we're expecting. And we kind of we decided it'd be a good idea to maybe, hey, let's go get some food in our bellies before. And so there was an Outback Steakhouse. It's right around the corner from one of the closest movie theaters.
Oh my God. We talked about Outback. It came up once before we started recording, so this is an exciting callback that only we are aware of. But carry on.
It's a recurring theme in my life, James. And I am a big proponent of Outback Steakhouse. If anybody happens to hear this,
it's a callback every week.
Yeah, they're a fan favorite in the Barnhart household.
That has the bloomin' onion, correct?
Correct.
Yes, yeah, the OGs. I think they invented it, I believe, right?
What's that?
Yes, yeah, and then the Chili's guy took it because it wasn't like patented or some shit like that.
I'm not sure. We'll have to get into the legalities of it
Chili?
on a different.
Was it John Chili? No.
Yeah, John Chili.
No. But you know what else I love about Outback is they give you that like squaw bread on that cutting board with the big knife.
Oh,
and it's got that board with the hole cut in it. Got that hole cut in it for the buttercup too.
Oh, is the butter pretty like melted too?
I'd say it's. Oh, continue. I like that jam. That's a good song.
Buttercup, baby, won't you bring me down?
Baby,
mess me around and then worst of all. Never call baby when you say you will. but I love you still.
Oh.
So that song was written about
like the next Outback
bread
commercial.
Yeah, please call us Outback.
Knock us down for sponsorship right now.
Yeah, right now.
So we go to go to Outback. We drank a couple of Fosters. I think the bartender convinced us because it was like $2 for one of those cans. And if you don't know those,
yeah,
they're like 30 ounces or something.
Yeah,
Australian for beer.
It's also Australian for beer. So you actually didn't even get a Foster's. You got a whole nother beer. But at Outback, anytime you order a Foster's, it means beer.
We were having a good time, man. It was fun. I'm kind of a long-winded storyteller, so I'll try to.
That's what we're here for.
I don't want to take up too much time telling this.
Oh no, we have all the time in the world.
So I think we probably ordered the kookaburra shrimp for sure. They have these Outback fries. I forget what they call them. It's some really cheesy Australian name.
But they're like steak fries. They're like thick ones.
But they're like, they've got like cheese and chives and they're like loaded. Yeah.
Fucking shit. Yeah.
Something I'm sure Australia is not comfortable with.
I love that
bacon,
shit.
Yeah. Cheese and chive, man.
Oh, extra chai. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We had a good time. And afterwards, we're walking over to the movie theater, which is probably about like 500 feet. It's really close. It's like close. A very convenient place to go eat beforehand.
They probably have a roll-on over there. Am I right?
That's something that they should come up with. They should like a wheelbarrow or like a wheelchair or something.
What if they just hired that little train in the malls to just pick up people out front of it? You build a track. That's right. That's right in front.
I'm going to the movies.
It's just a train filled of small children and drunk adults.
Drunk pets.
I took the train to the movie theater.
They're going to see, like, I don't know, Peppa Pig, the movie.
Wonka.
Some dads. Yeah, Wonka.
Mm-hmm.
So get over there, walk into the theater, and we're feeling pretty good at this point. As one would,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's like a Wednesday or something, Walk in. Movie theater, by the way, typically speaking, the snacks are going to be very, very expensive. This particular movie attendant, man, he was on it that night. Walked up. I think you could tell that we were ready. And, my typical order would be Junior Mints, of course. Got to get the Junior Mints. Big shout out to Junior Mints. If they're not currently sponsoring, they should be.
Yes, please.
But Junior
Mints, talk to us.
Yeah. You didn't know this was going to be a branding call, actually. Just, marketing.
A Brandon call, you said?
Brandon. Oh.
Hello. That's me.
All right. Time out.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Bottoms up.
Anytime there's a Brandon-related pun, you have to take a drink.
Oh, we will be 3 sheets to the wind, as one might say. Bag. Yes.
I might run out of stuff to drink. So we go ahead. My bad.
Oh, no. I just wanted that. I just was going to remind Brandon I really need that printed out list of the nicknames so we can keep track of them all. And that's all. But continue, please.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we'll dive back into that because I too need to know where we stand because there's some. I think there's some new ones that I'm not caught up with.
Yeah.
So I'm ordering food from this guy. I get Junior Mints, popcorn, and like a large cherry Coke because there's something about movie theater cherry Coke. It's just like, it's
agreed.
So good.
Yeah,
with that Pebble Ice,
shut the fuck up. I want it.
So I think I get like a large popcorn, and the guy looks at me. He's like classic salesman. He goes, you can get an extra large for just a quarter more, and it comes with a free refill. And I just told the guy, I was like, a quarter? I'm sold. And he goes, you know what, man? I'll do you a solid. He's like, I don't want to interrupt your movie. I'll go ahead and pour you the refill right now.
I've never had that happen to me in my history of movie going. That's amazing.
It was exciting. It's exciting. So you're really getting your money's worth. So I'm walking out of there. My eyes are as wide open as they could get.
Did you do double cherry Coke, or did you mix it up for the second?
No, well, so the
Bev's not popcorn.
Yeah, the popcorn was the refill, not on the drink. But the drink was like, you could see my hands here. I don't know if everybody can, but
it was like a kiddie pool.
Off the screen. It was off the screen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like a yard bird. But my hands are full. It's now we're talking trouble here. So we start walking towards the theater. We're all excited. We're jazzed up. We got the popcorn. We got the junior mints, and I don't know. I'm kind of clumsy guy. I got to spit my gum out before I start walking,
Mm-hmm.
And I think I tripped and I dropped the refill of popcorn already. And I think it was right in front of like the guy that sweeps everything up in the theater. We're not even inside the movie yet, and I just looked at him and I'm just dying laughing. I can't keep it together. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, he's like, it's all right, man. You want to go get another one? I was like, it's probably a sign I don't need it. We get in the theater. The three of us walk in. As I'm sitting down, I drop the other box of popcorn. Oh, no. I'm dead serious. And it's so much popcorn. It's on the ground that I like a surgeon would, I just scooped the top layer that wasn't touching the ground.
Oh no!
Back into the box. It wasn't like a lot, but I was like, I wanted a little bit of popcorn.
Naturally, you had two
buckets
worth but a moment ago.
But you guys got to think, like, no less than, couldn't have been 3 minutes prior. This guy had given me the equivalent of like, I don't know, 6 bags of popcorn. Like if you were to make it at home.
Yeah, like a full tall size trash bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, like imagine going back.
Too close to the sun.
Yeah, sure. That's a good, I love that analogy. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But imagine, going back to this guy, not, just a mere couple minutes later and saying, hey, I ate it all. He gave you some more.
You said free refills.
So, yeah, just feeding everybody in the theater. I was just going around passing it out.
I know about those little trays, yeah.
So the story wraps up pretty quickly at this point. So we're all sitting down, we're having a good time, and we watched the movie last night, actually. So I was trying to figure out the point of cutoff here. So at some point, I fell asleep pretty early on in the movie.
You paid for a nap. That's what we call paying for a nap.
And when I mean early, I'm really early. Maybe like about the time they go see Will Forte in the movie.
Damn, I was almost going to say like when they go in like when they're in the waiting out in the car with the Anna Faris situation. I feel like that would be the moment. But yeah, that's you knocked out early.
I was shocked to see Anna Faris in this movie when I watched it again.
Yeah,
sure.
Fell asleep, and then I woke up kind of towards the end of the movie, like in the big, like, well, I don't know how we do this. I don't want to spoil.
Oh yeah.
But I'm assuming people watch the movie if they're listening to this, but
there were loud noises happening. You're like, wait, what is it?
Yeah,
what are
there's
noises?
like a big
interrupting my nap.
At the very end, right? And the car explosions, and Luis Guzman is about to get killed. And I wake up and I'm like, what's going on? And I look over and I see the two guys that I'm with, they're just sound asleep as well. So that was my experience with Keanu, and I hadn't seen it again until last night. So I'm excited to talk about it again.
And then my friend Brandon asked me about like what I would want to do for a podcast about discussing a movie in depth. And I'm like, well, why not that one movie that I fell asleep for?
I got to tell you, I remember everything about the night. I don't remember the movie.
Perfect choice. Yeah, you're like it's like you're making up for missing the movie. Now you have to talk about it for like ad nauseam.
Yeah, this is my book report, right? This is
this is your makeup test.
I hope Key and Peele see this or hear this and know that I'm not one of those critics.
I mean,
I'll tell you.
Well, that's what's so weird about this one. I mean, this is a critically favored movie. This is not. I mean, I feel like it was
very bizarre.
It was made for those moments of like, I got really high and fell asleep for
the whole thing.
Keanu, like that seems like the almost the intended effect in some ways of like, this is an hour and a half action comedy. This is meant to be fun and not to be taken like every little piecemeal, like
critically,
but the critics loved it. Yeah.
If anything, weird. You would have even having fallen asleep to the entire thing, you have a high propensity, or at least you would still probably, if given the opportunity, rate this movie as an audience member highly just by the concept alone. So it's just so shocking that once, the rubber meets the road on these audience scores that people write is that everybody's like, this is aggressively mid and we don't like this. It really blows me away because from a critic standpoint, there's a lot in this movie that I don't get where they're finding these positive things to highlight, really.
Yeah, sorry, you can't hear that notification, can you?
No,
you're good.
Okay, cool. I hear it, but I just want to make sure you don't. I don't want it to. No, I think it's an interesting take, right? So the audience didn't like it very much.
No, not as much as the critics. To remind everybody, it's a 78 certified fresh % critically reviewed movie, and it's a 55%. Not so hot and spicy tomatoes for the audience. They're feeling more like lukewarm, sort of rotten varietal of tomato.
I will give, to put some context to this situation, right, is like I had mentioned when you were at the start of your story, Chip, is like, and James assisted in letting us know that Key and Peele was a huge deal. Like a lot of people really did enjoy that show. And a lot of it has to do like that momentum. I think they kind of left at a height almost. It's not like Key and Peele, I think, left at, this is all run its course. Everybody kind of wants them to lead. I think they made the smart decision to go like, no, we want to be in more movies because we're movie stars. And this is their first real outing.
I mean, Jordan Peele, especially what he does after this. I mean,
So to that, would love to talk about Jordan Peele's career, but it really blew me away that he didn't direct this movie. Well, it didn't by honestly 15 minutes into it because this movie looks atrocious. And so I despise the way this movie looks because it has this like weird fuzz on a majority of it, and then the color correcting is all over anyways. Yeah, so like very surprised he didn't direct this movie, and which also kind of feeds into like it really blew me away that the critics were into this because the filmmaking and directing of this movie I think is so aggressively mid, so underwhelming. It doesn't look good and whatnot. But again, to pull it back to the main actors, both really exciting talents that I think people are like, these guys are going to be huge, and they are huge. I mean, God, Keegan Michael Key is right. God, am I saying that right?
Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Is in Wonka, which just came out. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, yeah. And then, he loves those one-word movies. What can I say?
He loves those one-word movies. And then let's talk about Jordan Peele before his career after this is really incredible. Wow, yeah. What a strong voice. What a interesting director that he turned out to be, that people really pay attention to. And me and James just had the opportunity. It was a little underwhelming, just like this movie, in my opinion. At studio tours, there's a whole Nope section now. I had no idea that existed.
Universal Studios Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if it was not at Orlando, but rightfully so. Because Nope is it is an important movie. I know a lot of people are kind of mid on that. I'm curious. Where are you at with Nope? How do you feel about Nope?
Me or Chip?
Either one.
I've personally not seen the movie, so that's a tough one for me to answer on. But I know what the movie's about, and I know what the direction it was supposed to take. And from what I understand, it was a pretty pivotal movie, right?
It's a very interesting movie for sure. Yeah,
I like
then James.
I like Nope a lot.
I like it.
I like the movie Nope a lot. To me, I want to watch Us again. Speaking of his body of work, because I don't remember a lot of that movie, and I feel like I need to watch it again. However, with Nope, it was extremely memorable for me. Some of the bigger moments of that movie, and I think that speaks to his ability to come up with fresh ideas in a horror sort of way. But then there were things in that movie that seemed to be really concerning the internal qualities of the character and what they were going through, and not being so obvious about how you should feel about a popcorn, flick where you're watching like kind of like a fun horror sort of quality sort of movie, but then it makes you think a little bit extra as well. But very memorable moments within that movie that are done in a fresh way that transcends the bounds of sci-fi and horror and dabbles into, the Twilight Zone of it all. And yeah, Get Out is obviously something that has brought on, I would say, like a new wave of horror, along with Blumhouse and everything too, but a new wave of what horror movies can do in general. And I like that he has done amazing things within horror, but I think within sci-fi and even fantasy, or more sci-fi, I guess, is something that I'm very excited about. And he seems to be expanding out as well, where Brandon and I talked about him doing Death Stranding, or no, he's doing a Hideo Kojima video game. That's not Death Stranding. He's doing
OD is what it's called.
Yeah, like some sort of horror video game experience with
we don't really know
Hideo Kojima, and it's
going to be an experience. That's a great, that's for sure. It's going to be an experience.
But that's sort of like modern ways
of Hideo Kojima at all? Do you know who we're talking about?
I'm not familiar with the name, but maybe the work. If you if he's done anything other.
Absolutely. So yeah, he's responsible for the Metal Gear Solid franchise.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he made this game like on his first like honest outing as just him. Not to say that okay. Like when I just mean like really like the blank check, if you will.
Good
for
movie,
him.
by the way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But
classic for me as a child.
Insanely good classic for me as a child. That was such a big movie for me. I watched it all the time on VHS. But he made this game that me and James love called Death Stranding, and it is a ambitious video game in its storytelling narrative, and it is very weird, and it is dense and expansive and really kind of tough to get into, but it is the most rewarding experience if you like really just kind of let yourself get washed over and become a part of this game.
Horror sci-fi, it's kind of a match made in heaven. I feel like both of them kind of cover that umbrella of like horrific but like sci-fi sort of elements, which is my favorite version of horror. At least I love sci-fi in general, but like Alien and all that kind of stuff. And I'm excited to see what they do. I wouldn't expect after this movie for him to take the leap to do Get Out. Is something that is pretty surprising and amazing.
Incredibly
it's
surprising.
Cool that Keegan-Michael Key's able to continue his acting careers. There's like
rightfully so. He's funny and very charismatic.
Yeah, there's this TV show. I think it's on Apple TV Plus where I forget it's a nonsense word, the name of the show, but it's him and Cecily Strong, and it's about they like go into a world where it's a musical.
Oh, cool!
They're like just from the regular world, and they go into a world, and it's all. Everyone's singing in musicals whenever something happens, and it's a really good pair, and he's a really good casting choice for that. And it's not a terrible show or anything, but it is. I didn't stick with it. It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to handle. Yeah, I know, and I'm sure
it looks fun in Wonka.
I was never part of drama in high school, but James was, and I can understand because I know, friends that James would be in drama with, and people that I've also grown up in my life who had been in drama. Because my whole thing is like drama and musicians are really my favorite friends, and there are some drama people that are extra AF, and I can at times Keegan Michael Key gets a little extra, and which I think it just works so well for me just to have as like a something that sits always in the back of my mind, informing me of like or being present when I'm thinking about Keegan Michael Key is that improv movie that Mike Birbiglia we didn't we do that on the podcast? What is it? It's like Don't Think Twice. Maybe not on this podcast, but on the Progenitor podcast that got us here. He's in this movie that Mike Birbiglia wrote and directed. That was
is it the Drinking Buddies movie or
no? It's this movie about improv, and it's amazing. And Keegan Michael Key is in it,
and he wrote a book about improv as well. Keegan Michael Key.
Did he? I mean, I
saw it at the airport recently, and I was like, "Wow, this is a whole book about improv."
Such an incredible improver because he's such a guy that's like down to get on board with what you're doing, and like will like overall has like a kind nature to him that wants everybody to win, and that kind of is part of his character in this.
It is,
him
100%.
What is it? Not an HR person, but like
he works for the U.S. government, I think, doesn't he?
Right,
something along those lines.
He like builds teams. Like he's not a consultant, but yeah, like it works for the government in the capacity of like coming in and like training teams. It seems like
That's one of the best parts of the third act is that arc coming to fruition. The team building exercises that he does. Like, I know I'm jumping ahead, but like, there's a point where the movie. There's a couple points in the movie where it kind of grounds to a little bit of a standstill, and then it'll bring it back a little bit in those moments. There'll be like really funny jokes within those moments that'll keep me going. And I was about to almost tune out in that last action scene, and when the minute that happens, of like, oh my God, they're communicating, and
look it
that made the whole scene.
I'm out of ammo. Okay, gotcha. I'm hit. Okay, I'm going.
Yeah, like, and then it was set up long ago, and then the minute they drop that makes
need help.
It makes the whole action scene just so satisfying as a whole. Like not even just one moment. It's like a joke that keeps on giving because like every single thing that they do is action based, which is what you want for an action comedy. Is like, oh, they're doing the slow motion thing or passing ammo or whatever, but then it's also a joke, like to be able to laugh at the same time that they're shooting, and like that's exactly what you want. Where I think this movie hits its stride the most, and then there are some other times where they lean really heavily on Jordan Peele's writing / their ability to improvise, which for the most part is solid, but then there are some there's some moments where it just kind of like it vamps a little too long, and for me it was kind of like I'm kind of just talking about the movie as a whole, but I mentioned the Anna Faris scene and everything too. I think that moment kind of
I did not care for that.
Grounds to a halt where it's like there's what's going on inside the house and outside the house just goes on a little bit too long, where that could be one moment in the movie instead. Like you were saying, that was a great point where you said earlier, Brandon, where this movie ends up being like means to have different sketches and means to have like moments of like
some of them land, some of them
we'll have Key in the car with these guys, and we'll have Jordan Peele and Tiffany Haddish and with Annie Faris, and then we can just riff on both of those different scenes. And there's a lot of and I'm picking that scene in particular because I think that just where it's the most egregious, where it's just like we got to get our Anna Faris time and we got to get our time to kind of riff it out a bit. But his writing is one of the stronger elements of the movie in a lot of ways, of how to be able to structure a movie that is an action comedy where everyone is playing it straight in day and age where I think now it is very Deadpool-y and very meta and hard to be sincere in a I don't know, Naked Gun sort of Leslie Nielsen sort of way. I know we're big big fans of him, but I think this movie does well and at least
Airplane.
For the most part like playing it somewhat straight. But we can go through it a little bit through the motions a bit. The inciting incident is this darn cat. I'd say that gets away from an action scene to start the movie. You know, it's going to be an action movie, but how the cat comes to Jordan Peele is just kind of innocuous on it. Just kind of scratches on his door, and he's in need of someone or something, or some Keanu to love. There's some posters on his wall as well. There's a Cloud Atlas poster. I like that. There's a Heat poster.
I thought it was so funny. The Coke warehouse had like joking body representation, because typically it would just be a bunch of hot chicks there, but then there was like fat dudes without clothes on that were in there too. It's just this collection of people that because it's very similar to Blow, I want to say, or
American Gangster.
Or American, American Gangster for sure. This idea that like, the people working on the coke have to be nude because you don't want them stealing shit, right? Is the whole thing. And then, then there's like a big fat guy, great big fat person in there. And I thought that body representation was so funny. And this idea that there's a alternate version of them as these killers, you know.
By the way, they looked exactly like Aphex Twin. Shout out to Aphex Twin. I don't know if you guys know who that is or not. But
yeah, bro.
That's a little callback to your trip to Ireland there. I could not get over, like, I just keep thinking of that music video for, it's called, I think, Window Licker or something like that, for Aphex Twin, where he's got this really wild, messed up version of his own face, and it looks just like them in there.
That is kind of his whole thing, is like the Richard D. James. I mean, a lot of his albums and everything are just like the Aphex Twin, like Grinch smile, evil face. And when
can't do the face,
Brandon, when Brandon and I saw him live, it was like essentially while playing his music, there was a montage of all like a bunch of celebrities and famous people, and that being applied to their faces, like the evil grin to like the Queen or LeBron James or whoever else. But God, love.
And it sets up real quickly this like scapegoat, or this false identity that ends up playing into the movie very quickly in a fun way. I think the intro is pretty good, all things considered, because that adds to the story of the movie and allows them the freedom to move between these groups so easily and have those fish out of water situations that happen later. But that darn cat is cute as hell. Can I just say, they picked the right cat.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Brandon, where this movie is not shot super well. It doesn't look great or anything, but the action scenes with the cat are tough, I'd imagine. And they do a pretty good job of like, it was refreshing not to ever see a CG cat. Maybe there was. If I didn't notice, but there was, some clear green screening with, the cat being on top of the hood of the car later on. But during that moment, it was like running through all the scenes, and the slow-mo with the cat was just like, I'm sure like a very, you ended up getting your popcorn chip, or you just ended up just settling with the floor popcorn? I'm sure at that moment you're like,
no, I didn't go back. I'm just watching this. I'm like, what the hell is going on right now?
So you got some floor popcorn.
I was so confused.
And then you're probably like, oh, that cat's so cute. And then you probably had some great dreams about some cute little kitty cats. I feel like it's a great way to start the movie. Lets you know that it's going to be action based. And then it's also going to, like, I don't know, take itself a little bit seriously, even if the humor lies in how serious they're taking. I'm remaking that point, but that is something that I would like to see more of in action comedies. And, I know that the self-referential stuff still happens in this movie. They're playing themselves as the antagonists, but I like that it is within like the generic cliche, kind of story. They can have some fun within those guidelines. And in this movie, I'm not sure when this other one came out, but it reminded me a lot of the sensibilities and like this, in some ways, the structure of Let's Be Cops. You guys like that movie?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
totally. Kind of that ramping up of like the not much going on in their life, and then they find some like calling, and then it just kind of escalates in a lot of ways. But for an hour and a half comedy, I think it sets a pace right at the beginning, like we're talking about.
You almost don't know.
We'll continue.
Sorry. No, go ahead, James.
No, bad. I'm done.
I was just gonna say quickly, like, you almost don't even know that it's going to be a comedy. The way that movie starts until you see the cat, right? The cat.
Oh yeah, the cat, right?
And then it sets it up.
Yeah, because the cat is super cute in the way that they presented it too. I love that when it runs to Jordan Peele's character Rel, that it gets its little paws stuck in the cement, right? That ends up getting a callback later, where they're like paws in the cement. And it also feeds into this idea. I feel like I just brought this up to James the other day, but there's this idea on social media about the cat delivery system, in which cats are notorious as kittens to just seek out humans and just latch onto them for, food or whatever. And that happens often to people, where you'll see a lot of videos of somebody like walking, biking, doing whatever, and then a little kitty cat will just like find them and be very friendly with them, and then you just have to adopt it, and it just has to be your animal now. And that happening in this movie is, it's funny because that is in the zeitgeist out there, that this cat delivery system exists, and cats are really great at that. Because I feel like dogs, on the other hand, would just, I don't know, run out into nature or just like run away or something like that.
You drank the milk because I drank it. I love that little scene where
that's fun.
He trusts him, and then like right after that, one of my favorites was they're getting ready to go wherever they're going. He goes, "Say goodbye." And he's like, he makes Keegan-Michael Key's character come back and say goodbye to the cat. Like, he immediately latches onto this thing. It's so cute,
So Keegan-Michael Key's,
his reaction right off the bat too is, I think, sets the standard for how fucking cute this cat. Oh, he's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes, and so what's the deal with Keegan-Michael Key's marriage? So the reason he's able to the reason he's able to do what he's doing.
Berry bomb.
Berry bomb. There's the berry bomb.
The berry bomb just
got its name.
God damn it. Okay, James, cover.
So the relationship between him and his wife, I think, is not fully fleshed out, because the end of the movie, her coming, I'm jumping to the end, but we're talking a lot about, like, I think they get the setup down okay of, like, he's very, I don't know, closed off to his own, whether it be his sexuality or just his own drive to be a little, I don't know, is it edgy, or is it just more like himself, or some kind of...
Well, I think what they do, James, is they go through the movie, and there's a scene where him and Jordan are in the car, and they're talking about the guys that used to beat me up when I was younger are a lot tougher than the guys that used to beat you up,
Detroit.
Right? Yeah, so I think these two guys are pretty nerdy, right? And so, like, he's trying to find, he's successful, right? He's made it. He's got a, beautiful wife, loving family, but he's like trying to find this, I don't know, way to keep up with the Joneses, as it were, maybe culturally, or within his own friend group or something like that. So, maybe he's a little bit uncomfortable in that, in a way, because, he never had that growing up.
He never really had the opportunity to, like, explore that kind of more free side.
Free, maybe like a little bit more like the top of his class or game, or whatever you want to call it. So I think that she even goes on to say it early on in the movie, says something like, you try to be the person that you think everybody wants you to be. Like, that's a poignant quote that she makes. So I don't know, maybe it's like the internal struggle that this character has.
And I think they do a pretty good job of playing with that and having a little bit of humor when she gives him the call in the house, like when he has to play both sides, which it could have even arguably used a little bit more of, because I feel like leading up to the end, I didn't much care for how quickly, like, he punches out Rob Hubel, and then she immediately jumps into his arms and was like, we have to fuck right now. get me upstairs. Children, don't watch. And it was that happened way too quickly because I wanted a little bit more of her being upset with him and like a little bit more of reconciliation over him enacting or like acting upon these new sides of himself, and her being like, all she kind of is like, that is just that phone conversation of like, why are you talking like that? And also, by the way, he approached me in an inappropriate way, and it made me feel extremely uncomfortable. And we never really got, and maybe that's difficult to approach in a comedy movie, but I thought there was something missing in the follow through of that relationship, which would maybe have someone be confused about what their deal is, and maybe the beginning of Brandon's conversation, who's still dealing with a Barry Bomb situation. But I feel like the beginnings at least
very segmented, right?
The beginnings at least are like kind of understandable, but it's for it to be coming to a head doesn't really seem accurate. It has to in this movie, and then it does by the end.
It's just a scene. It's just a scene to be a scene. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like
his arc.
The movie has zero time for that relationship. It's right. Like aggressively
okay too, like an hour and a half.
Nice, we actually don't care about any of this relationship. And the way it's designed to is so funny because it is perfect for him to just not have to deal with, like, have to have a lot of scenes with her. Just to be like, oh yeah, she's off on this. I don't know. That
was so bizarre, that trip they went on.
Why is their neighbor taking her out?
And the wife's not going.
And the wife's not going because he needs guy
she's
time
sick or whatever. Yeah, it just happened so quickly, and obviously more time is going to be given to Jordan Peele. He's the protagonist. He's the main character, but he drives a lot of this movie too, and that was just something that was. It was about the cat, and he got to like live his arc, which I guess was just exploring that other side of himself, which naturally attracted her to him. But yeah, however it played out. And for Jordan Peele in this movie, Rel, he goes through a little romantic entanglement as well.
He does
a double agent of sorts.
Yeah.
Before we get into Tiffany Haddish, because I have a lot to say. I posted it in the channel leading up to this episode. I have a lot to say about her. But before we get into that, I really want to talk about Will Forte, because I just recently saw him in a movie, and he was the best. Like, I watched this movie, Nebraska, by the same guy who did The Holdovers, which is probably going to be nominated for Best Picture.
Sideways too,
and right? Yeah, absolutely, great movie. And he's fantastic in it. Like, he's such a good actor. He's also very funny. But man, the stuff that they gave him, be it direction or maybe just words on the page, were not funny. Like, this pseudo white guy who thinks he's Jamaican.
Loves rap music,
or just like generally black trying to be. It's very not funny because of the non-specificity of it necessarily. And then he just generally likes rap music. The fact that scene where he's like, I'm gonna break your De La Soul record, I was like, wait a minute, you just had a murderous,
get out of here,
these murderous hitmen, and now you're going to be like, I'm gonna be a rat for a theoretically very dangerous blips, which that alone, I was like, oh my God, this is what I signed up for. Is this how this is gonna go? Am I gonna just have to deal with this bullshit, this kind of comedy that's coming out of Will Forte blips? They're not Bloods, they're not Crips, they're blips.
17th Street.
17th Street, yeah, that's where they're located.
17th Street. And the other thing too is I'm going to go on the record, everybody. Let's fucking cool it with thinking it's funny to come up with names for weed that are silly. Let's kibosh it. We're done. With
there
this.
Was one that was kind of funny.
It's not that funny to just come up with silly names for weed. Yeah. It's really not funny anymore.
God, there was one that was kind of though.
I totally forgot all the different ones he was saying in that scene.
Oh man, whatever.
Yeah, because they're unforgettable and not funny.
Oh yeah, I got the anti-sadness strain, the Walk It Off Sunshine.
Oh, that is kind of funny.
I like that his mom called him Holka as well. Like she didn't call him by whatever his. I mean, Holka couldn't have been that guy's real name, right?
Call him by his name.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Holka was the character's name, but his mom called him Holka as well.
Right. So what is this?
Surely he had. I don't know. Yeah. Probably Will.
Yeah,
that is the type of character that you would kind of want to like kind of steal the show a little bit when he does show up. It's kind of like, oh, he's back. He's going to make some funny joke. And yeah, and I do like Will Forte a lot. And unfortunately, it didn't really hit too much. Even him getting devoured by a snake by the end at the end and everything. But no, he didn't really do it for me. For like the little pop of a cameo, because you got his cameo. And then when they get into the shit of it all, you get Method Man, which is, I think, like he does his job well and he plays it straight. And then whatever little bit of comedy moments he does fine. But you need that moment of levity to add to all the the shit that they're fucking around with and everything. And I think Method Man gives like a little bit of menace to make them at least like scared and drive forward at least a little bit of the plot. Otherwise they wouldn't do anything if they weren't kind of pushed in some way. And I think he pushes things in a pretty good way, and somehow is like menacing but still like hanging out with the cat. And he's like, yeah, New Jack City is his name, and then Keanu is their name, and then Iglesias is Luis Guzman's name for the cat.
Yeah,
you guys have a favorite one? I mean, Keanu is
it's very funny when we see the cat in a do-rag and a gold chain and a bulletproof vest. Pretty funny. Yeah, I did not care for fucking Method Man's performance though. It's so stilted. He just seems so uncomfortable doing that, and it lost a lot of its menace during that time. Did either one of you guys write down what the name of the strip club was?
Yeah, HPV. Hot Party Vixens. I laughed so loudly. It scared Kirsten. She was like, "Oh my god, what's so funny?" I was like, "It's called HPV, Hot Party Vixens." But they like preface it before they get there. Will Forte's character says they're down at this club called Hot Party Vixens. Mm-hmm. And so you hear that and you don't even think about it, and then you see the sign and it just says HPV, and
the V is a woman's legs split into a V as she's lying down, and it looks like it kind of like they open more at night, like they do that whole thing.
I love when they're walking in there and Jordan's character is like, "Hey man, you can't go in there looking like that." And he's like trying to toughen up. He's like popping his collar. But the best part was like he starts undoing his belt and starts to sag his pants. He's like pulling his pants down.
That's what the kids are doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like this guy has like he's got this idea of this culture that he doesn't enact, he doesn't, partake in at all, right? But he has like this kind of like branding of what it might be, and then you see it play out when they go inside the club too. Like
I think that switch is like a really good comedic moment for him, because he is so square in his own way, and then that switch when they approach him from behind, and then he does the whole Shark Tank tectonic shit. I think is
funny.
Well, because they're such good performers. That could easily go really bad, and you could have a performer just make that just fucking land so flat, and you'd have to cringe through the whole thing, and it's just not funny. Sure. But them two together, the chemistry and delivering the lines that he wrote, Jordan Peele, and everything, I think just goes a long way, because that's why this movie is funny. I think their performances and Jordan Peele's writing is the only reason like that a lot of the stuff kind of cuts through the fat of the rest of the movie.
I think that's just like, I don't know, to the credit and kind of the breakthrough, or like this fresh perspective of the movie, where I feel like movies prior to it, aside from Undercover or Beverly Hills Cop, like it's two black guys going and doing this, and I feel like typically it'd be two white guys trying to act tough in a situation like that. And I think it adds another comedic element where it's like two black guys that are like, I don't just like I don't not gangster, I guess, like, you know, and how and them turning it on, it's really funny because they're able to get into that mode very well, and it doesn't seem cringy. It just seems funny because they're just playing another character of themselves that's tone appropriate for the situation. And yeah, I just to see that happen was it was funny to sit in that because yeah, it could have easily been very cringy if it was two white guy stoner guys trying to like break into a gang and, you know, try to act tough, try to act a gangster around you know, those group of guys, and Tiffany Haddish and one girl.
I feel like that Keegan's character, like the his favorite show on TV must have been Shark Tank. You know, he was just like trying to like relate to like the first thing on his mind, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, he's like, what was the last thing I saw? What sounds tough? And then he's like, Shark Tank, you know?
I appreciate how they start calling him Shark by the end of it too. They
just abbreviate it.
Absolutely.
So good.
So Tiffany Haddish, guys, how do we feel about her? Where are we at in our journey with Tiffany?
I think it's a pretty strong first performance. I don't know if this is her first performance, but I feel like there's something that's kind of softened about her a little bit more recently. And there's something about this one where you can really tell like she's really trying her hardest to be convincing in a way. And I think now she not to say anything because I still like her as a performer, but I think seeing her in some comedic performances now, there's a little bit less, for better or worse, of like a need to prove anything. She's made it like, and I think that's great. And she's really given the time and space to explore whatever she wants to do, or just kind of get licensed to do whatever she wants. And there's like a real thirst in this performance. I feel like that. Yeah, I don't know, the thing that I was saying with Method Man and her. I think there's a little bit of weight that's given to the movie through them. At least trying to drive the plot a little bit more and give like a little bit more of convincing sort of performances of what this world is actually about, because there is so much humor. You just need a little bit of that weight. But trying to roll her into, you know, someone who's hazing Jordan Peele and getting him through like the whole how to do the business sort of thing, also a romantic interest, and then also ends up being like someone who turns at the end, is a lot to put on her characters. And I already mentioned about Key's wife and everything. And I think that there's just some stuff that's like a little bit all wrapped into one and condensed by the end that doesn't make me feel like, yeah, maybe she's fully realized, but as a performer, I see why she popped in this movie.
It would make more sense to me for that, what you just outlined, for what she does to be in something that's not a comedy. Right.
Totally. So, like, she's not funny.
No. So like
in my opinion, yeah.
Her being really think she's meant to be though. I don't know. She's not really meant to bring the humor in this movie.
Sure.
I think this movie would be more funny as a comedy if there was somebody funnier in that role, right?
I think
that's my point though, is I don't think everybody needs to be Key and Peele level funny. Like I think they're like having some people play it straight and be exactly who they say they are and not like a fucking goof. Like I you can sense like like she's trying to move up the ranks, and then with Method Man, yeah, I don't know, like there's like a little bit, and then like the guys on the outside tend to be a little bit goofier, but yeah, none of it's perfect.
Her being typecast though?
Yeah. What's that?
Is that us, you know, like maybe unjustly saying, you know, she's typecast because she's a comedian? She's been a comedian for so long that
I would think that
I've seen her in serious roles though too, and I don't know.
Okay,
that would be my argument. That's kind of what I was posting in the channel earlier this week, is the fact that this idea that her as a serious actor is one thing, but she wants to be a comedian, and I don't think she's very funny. I do think that the serious stuff, to James, your point, is nice to have in this movie because, yes, I don't want, and I despise a Deadpool where no one is taking anything seriously. But then there's also, I think, a arguably better mix like a Naked Gun or whatever, where people are playing it very straight, but it's like what you're saying is still really funny. And I just don't think anything that she's saying is very funny.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And I would like to have had somebody in that role that was saying more funny things because sure, like it's also weird where this movie ends where they're with their relationship because it's not like, you know, necessarily happy ever after, even though it kind of is. But yeah, like what all that emotional and purposeful character building leads to, I think is, you know, by the end is so light.
Yeah, and I'd say that they just put too much on her character to be able to. There's so much that she has to do because, yeah, I guess she can't really joke because she ends up being a fucking DEA or whatever the fuck by the end.
Right.
But it's yeah, I see why she's had a long career after this. It makes sense to me, and it makes me happy to see her kind of in an earlier role, even if it's not. Yeah, it's. Not what about this movie is super memorable because I feel like it is a very funny ride and it's got a good pace for the most part, but coming back to it this time I'm like I don't remember a lot, and then leaving it as well, there isn't many of those scenes that really like grip you in a way that's like, oh yeah, there's that one part where this happens. I don't know what would be that moment for you guys of like, oh, Keanu has that one part. What would be that part for you guys? Do you have one?
George Michael.
Yes.
I was going to
100%. 100%.
Yeah, let's jump to that.
So, I mean, the whole, like, I guess the whole connection between them and George Michael. I have a lot of notes on this. I'm a huge George Michael fan.
Me too.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
I just found out that, and sorry to interrupt, but I didn't know that he died on Christmas.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
The same year this movie came out.
Wow.
Yeah. Fuck.
Damn.
So a couple things that I would say on George Michael. I'm kind of surprised that "Careless Whisper" didn't make its way into this song or into this movie. I feel like, you know, maybe that was a comedic moment where they're all in the car and they're singing. I know they get into father figure and it's this really cool bonding moment between him and these up and coming gangsters, you know, and it really kind of shines a light on these guys because they're really not that tough. They're just like these new guys who seem to kind of get into it recently. But like him leading these guys into like, hey, how awesome is this music? And then later on, I think later in the evening, they're at this big party and he does the holy shit.
Holy shit, yeah.
And he transports into George Michael's music video.
Loved it.
Like he's literally in the Faith music video. And he's just like, oh man, I don't know if I could do the whole spin and all that.
Yeah, he's like, look at you. Yeah, look at you do that spin. I don't know if I can do it. And then he does it and you're like, yeah.
You're seeing this, and like if you've seen that music video, it's pretty like memorable, right?
Incredibly memorable, iconic.
They do a good job.
You see that,
adding that quality to it. Yeah,
they transpose him right into it, and you know, like I've not obviously the holy shit is based on like, you know, like a concoction of different illicit drugs,
MDMA, and DMT.
I've never done anything remotely similar to that, but you know, they do a really good job of describing like what that might look like, and it has kind of like this grainy film to it, you know, like you're in the 80s in the music video.
Oh, sure.
I don't know, it was cool.
Yeah,
that to me that was pretty memorable. It was just tying him into that quite a bit,
getting the actual Keanu's voice in there for a second too. That was added last minute, but yeah.
Isn't that so interesting though? Because I agree with you, Chip, that I was so much more interested in the conversation happening in the car as opposed to the tense drug scene that was going on. I couldn't give a shit less about that drug scene at all.
Yeah,
because
it was very natural. Yeah,
it was so. it was so try hard. It was so cringy.
I got because off.
It was trying to be a like
Tarantino movie.
Boogie Nights with Alfred Molina scene with like all the fireworks and stuff, and they even have the Boogie Nights cat photo later, which makes me think that.
Oh my god, that what is it? He's making a calendar that only for himself, and it's got all of those really fun pictures of movies with Keanu.
Point Break, another Keanu.
And what was it? It was like towards the end, they were pulling like some side cop almost had it, and they're like, "Oh, this is really good." And I can't remember which movie it was, but they called it back that even just a random person who was like searching his house after those stuff with Luis Guzman happened, where they're like, "Oh, this is cool. This is fun."
So you're gonna find those guys? Oh, absolutely not. No way. We're never gonna find them.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious. One thing. So with George Michael, so like he passed away later that year. Do you think he ever watched that movie?
I would hope so.
He had to have cleared a lot of that stuff of like how his music was going to be used, but maybe it was just whatever Warner Brothers or Warner Music Group that owned his music or something that was able to give the go ahead on some stuff. But to use his name in his, I don't know, and that's like his likeness in some way. And I like how Key kind of laid out the story
between and with Wham. Yeah. That was good.
It was, what was odd too with the inside the house Anna Faris stuff is that I didn't quite get that it was actually her, like until like halfway through it.
Throwaway line at the end, yeah.
Until she was dead, I think. I don't know if they've.
Yeah,
it was kind of like, no, you totally killed her. No, yeah.
Legally speaking,
you
did it. That's by
like
yourself.
They're like meet cute essentially, where they're like kind of falling in love, and he's like, no, it was you who killed her. I know, I was just there.
One of the funnier moments I think too is like when they're trying to get them to like prove themselves, and then it's never explained and never brought up again. But Keegan Michael Key does a fucking backflip off the wall. And then he's just like, oh my God, I don't know. And then it's just like, they just move on. Like a little bit more of that kind of, I don't know. Just
I do the backflip tomorrow.
Yeah. We switch off from backflip days. I had some of that like absurd, I don't know, kind of off the wall humor, if you will. Could have like livened some stuff up a bit in this movie. But I do think that, them in the car and then Jordan Peele in the house was a little bit of a slowdown for me. Picked up a little bit past that. I think that them as characters were finding a new conflict between themselves, which I'm always curious about in like buddy movies of like, oh, there's gonna be that moment where they get in a fight amongst each other, and that started to come out in a somewhat fun way, like. And then the argument led to him doing the holy shit. But before that, I am curious about Keegan Michael Key, like being, like allured into this world of, being a blip and, fiending on his other side of himself and everything. But
right, because what's the end goal?
It wraps up
like
quick,
you have a family, it's like, he's getting. The joke being he's the one that's getting pulled into it when you would think that it's Jordan Peele, but Jordan Peele by and large.
They end up liking Shark Tank more than Tectonic, and I like that moment. It's like they like me more, and then ends up Tectonic is a little jealous.
Yeah. Why don't we smoke weed? Why don't we show them how they do it in Allentown?
And they could have gone a little bit further with some of the humor in certain areas, but then. I really like the length of this movie. This movie is an hour 40 minutes, hour and a half, essentially with credits or whatever. Like I appreciate that side of it, and so the fact that a lot of these things don't get fully fleshed out ends up being okay. Them like shooting the bad guys. What do they call them? The fucking there's like it's a last name or something. And then killing them, I thought was like a pretty funny scene.
Allentown.
Allentown. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just fucking shoot them up, and they're like, oh, they're not dead. You did that, and
they're
then, like he does it again, and like Jordan Peele shoots them all. Like that was a little bit more of that violent humor. Just kind of funny.
Yeah, totally.
Very comedically long too, right? So they call it a mag dump when you spit everything out, but it's like there's way more bullets in there being sounded off than there could actually be. So that's just like the aggressive humor of it,
Totally, and their faces and the way that they do it, because it's very much like once you start shooting, you like almost can't stop, and you're just like just empty the entire. Pretty funny.
And then they don't come back. Like the two like bad dudes, like they just don't come back. They just fucking kill them. I think that's pretty good. And it just wraps up so quick. And
oh my god,
yeah.
The whole thing I've already mentioned with Key and his wife, and then the Tiffany Haddish ended up being in on it, and she like it's all just happened so quick. It's just like, I'm going to kiss you to let you know that this is still a thing, but then I'm going to take the cat. I'll take care of the cat. I'll testify on your behalf. And it's like, oh, okay. Take the cat, testify. Okay. And then you're going to, okay. It's just a lot that it's like, okay, wrap up. All right. We'll see you later. Okay. Goodbye. And in a way I'm okay with it, but I just, there's another part of me which recognizes that for a movie that had moments of like, really felt like pumping the brakes and taking its time with certain things, it's frustrating by the end knowing that like, oh, there's a few of those little pockets that you could have explored a little bit more for some humor or an extra scene here and there with Key and his wife and the kids that we never see. And, Jordan Peele and Tiffany Haddish, there's like, I guess they have the prison scene with the glass, I guess is one moment, but there could have been a little bit more in between areas of humor, but I'm just wrestling with is that worth pushing it past the hour and a half runtime? I'm not sure, but I think there is a version of
what would you add?
Like I said, yeah, like something between Key and his wife, and then maybe one other thing with Jordan Peele and Tiffany Haddish. But that's where I feel like we've come across on this podcast where it's like, I have to pump the brakes on myself doing that, because if I change the movie, then something else is going to go missing. So I should just let it be and appreciate the things that I did like about it rather than probably trying to change it.
It's a great way to look at it. Yeah. I mean, it's just funny to think about this movie being as short as it is, that it could have been even shorter, because the last like 15 minutes of this movie were resolutions for things that were well set up. So this is like arguably an even shorter movie, It's like, yeah, because wouldn't it just been so much easier to just conclude like most, and no one even would have thought twice about it, is, the joke is, yeah, you go to jail, but it's not like you show that, right? You just go like, oh yeah, that's where we're going to lead this story, is he's going to go to jail. But, we set up the fact that Tiffany Haddish has the cat and will be there and all of that stuff. But no, we see this whole, just to squeeze out a couple jokes and really a runtime. It just, to me, seems so blatant. It's like, fuck, we don't have more movie. We have to add this stuff in. And to not being that funny. Yeah, it's, the joke is Keegan-Michael Key is in that stereotypical relationship where he wants to, like, his wife now dresses in leather and is visiting him at the jail. And then of course Keanu visits, Rel.
That's adorable.
They do the whole, that's fun. Yeah. that's not, I don't hate it, but yeah, it's not that funny.
Probably unnecessary, that whole last scene where they're in the jail cell, whether it be Tiffany or Keegan's wife coming to visit them. I think you could cut that out. So now you got like another 3 minutes, let's call it, a runtime where they could maybe tie some loose ends up. But I think what they're doing that for is they're setting up that one last scene of all the blips together. And they're going back and they're like, hey, we got to run this. We got to, take care of this. We're the top dogs in the jail cell, right? So I think they wanted to get that one last tie everything together of everybody working together as a team kind of thing. I don't know.
And then at that point, Chip is waking up, popcorn all over himself, remembering what has just transpired.
A fever dream, if you will.
I'll tell you, if I had seen the movie,
actually seen the
movie, if I was in the theater, I don't know if I would have liked it as much as I did watching it again.
Oh,
I really quite enjoyed the movie last night.
Let's talk about how we're feeling about it. Yeah, overall.
Yeah, or I can get into some reviews as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Would you guys care for a little break before I do that? I know I would. I will be right back. I'm going to take a little bathroom break and I shall return. And welcome back, everybody, to the Polarized Podcast. We have returned from a nice, healthy break, and we would love to talk to you about some of the critics' feelings as well as the audience feelings apart from us. Let's get into it. It was a 78%, again, certified fresh, critically reviewed film. It was a 55% audience reviewed stinker, according to them, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Stinky!
Not on other places, but Rotten Tomatoes, they did not care for it. Let's see some reviews here. From Brian Eggert from Deep Focus Review is on Rotten Tomatoes. Give it a 3 out of 4. Amid plenty of funny moments where our heroes are confronted with tense, life-threatening situations, Key and Peele always find humorous ways of diffusing the tension.
Ooh. That's so fun. Wow, man. So tuned in.
They know what they're doing.
Sounds like Brian.
From Richard Krause on Richard Krause. 3.5 out of 5. These are all people from top critics from Rotten Tomatoes is what I'm pulling from.
Krause.com.
The movie is a mix of down and dirty jabs. For instance, the local strip club is called Hot Party Vixens or HPV fish out of water gags.
I like that joke too.
A brilliant
Richard gets it.
Celebrity cameo and a fixation on George Michael that borders on the pathological.
Oh.
Pathological. From Sarah Cartland. Caution, spoilers is her publication. 3.5 out of 5.
Stop.
A funny and endearing tale about Keanu, the gangster cat, or as I like to call him, the bogeyman. I mean, the cat they send to kill the bogeyman. The action is a perfect parody of a Wiccan ballet with soaring music and slow-mo backflips against pillars. They spell bogeyman, and the joke does not make sense.
3 out of 5 for
that review.
Check. Yikes.
It does not make sense,
okay,
but
Caitlin.
I would like to include every type of review.
Boogeyman sounds good, though. I think that's maybe what she was going for.
You mean Bogeyman? Oh, yeah.
Peter Travers, Rolling Stone, says, I've heard complaints that the feature film debut from Comedy Central's Key and Peele is uneven, overlong, and really just a cat video disguised as a movie. Yeah, maybe, but I laughed my ass off.
All right, Peter.
Hello, lost and found. Do you have my ass?
From David Sims at The Atlantic. The joke wears out sooner than it should, but the stars of Keanu, including, yes, that terrific cat, do a decent job distracting from that.
Oh, so the movie's shitty, but you just got distracted.
How much do you think the cat made on this film?
God, I hope
all
it was
a combination of, how many cats does it say on this IMDb trivia? 7 cats and kittens played the title character.
Ooh.
Each one received a case of Fancy Feast and an assortment of cat toys. Since Keegan-Michael Key is allergic to cats, he had to take a medication in order to interact with them.
Wow.
In an interview with Ellen in December of 2017, Tiffany Haddish stated that she kept one of the cats who played Keanu as a pet.
Wait, the Ellen?
The Ellen.
Ellen.
Yeah, man. Method Man's character is named Cheddar. In The Wire, he plays a character named Cheese.
Oh, stop the connections. Wow.
Too good.
This movie operates on multiple levels.
Audience reviews. Let's see what they have to say. From the Poopy Doopy Snoopy, 55%. From Scamper, who gives it a 1 star out of 5, titled,
"Oh, Scamper! Wow,
waste of time and money, should have been condensed into a 15-minute cartooner."
Huh.
No, 15-minute cartoon.
Oh,
sorry, I misspoke.
I love cartooner though, as instead of an animated movie or whatever, you just call it a cartooner.
That's go on to say. No, what were we going to say?
Very Kentucky of that guy.
Hell
it's a cartooner.
It's a cartooner.
Worst movie I've seen all year. Movies in school were better. I watched this movie at the recommendation of a colleague. It was so boring. Drugs, shootings, nudity, profanity, and a B-rated plot. Okay, the kitten was cute, and the last 5 minutes of the movie were cute. Basically, it's like somebody had this great idea for a movie that involved rival gangs fighting over a cat and 2 wannabes that are instantly accepted by hardcore gangbangers. The movie had no credibility. I think the writer must have gotten stoned because he was disappointed that this rap song floundered. So he tried to make the song into a movie and threw in a kitten for good measure. This should have been included with Amazon Prime, although it still would have been disappointing even if I hadn't paid $6 to watch it. Hopefully my coworker won't ask me if I've watched it yet. I like to avoid having to give my opinion at work.
Don't we all?
Yeah, that's like a genuine worry.
Just let me get water from the water cooler, Thomas.
He actually has an opinion too. That's a funny thing. It's like I have a genuine once I fucking hated it sort of opinion, and even then I still don't want to fucking share it. I'm gonna write this review, but I'm not gonna share it at work. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna go on and write my review online.
Call me anonymous.
Yeah. I don't want to actually make people think I have this opinion. From Cindy L, titled, thought it was a funny cat movie. It was funny, but way too much foul language. And although we watched it for about 45 minutes, we did not see very much of the cat. We finally turned it off. It was not what we expected. From OMPG, titled Cat Movie with Nudity, Language, and Violence. These are all 1 stars, by the way.
Forgot about the nudity.
If there's a cute animal in a movie, younger kids are attracted to it, no question. But this movie is full of terrible language, extreme violence, and strip club nudity. My 12-year-old was heartbroken when I had to make him stop watching this movie with an adorable kitten, but with totally wrong context for animals or kids. I would like a refund. We had to stop after less than 30 minutes. And we'll do one more from Rich.
I would like a refund. Anybody out there, give me a refund.
Please give me the refund. Rich gave it a 1 star, titled, I like Key and Peele. I like Key and Peele. However, this movie is terrible. There wasn't even an attempt at humor for long portions of the movie. Aren't these guys comedians? The movie is clearly supposed to be a comedy with that plot. My wife and I took a chance renting it on a Saturday night, thinking at least it would be good for a few jokes and a handful of gags. Wow, did it fall flat. All that fake street talk grew old as quickly as it started, and it was relentless throughout the movie. And then they added that at the end of it. Yep. Uh-huh. Yep.
If it were, thankfully, I saw the notice on the screen of the sound.
Yeah, no, it was Brandon.
I was like, man, I was
absolutely.
Like, whew, because I'm home alone, and I was worried that somebody else might have farted around me.
And you did the whole Macaulay Culkin face too. You were like, oh no, oh somebody farted. Oh,
man,
I put aftershave on my face.
Hell of a
so I think I don't know, like those reviews solidified why I originally thought that the audience didn't like this movie.
Good.
A lot of the other ones I saw were a lot about not enough cat. This movie was slated as a cat movie, a cat comedy, and there was not enough of that darn cat. There is a stretch in the middle where there is no cat for long periods, but
sure.
Yeah, no.
I can't believe it.
Keanu. Ken. No, it's not going to work. I give up, and I give it to any of you to decipher why. I think we've talked about a lot in this episode. It's been so polarizing, this movie. Otherwise, I would love for Chip to get into his review. My reading is that like
a hot take here.
The audience, I think like looking at some of those reviews is they expected a funny cat movie and they did not get a funny cat movie. Was my general reading of it. But
I think
you guys have any.
I think you're spot on, James. I think that the audience, two things happen, right? So they were expecting one thing and didn't get it. And they also didn't know like maybe the brand that was coming at them, right? So like really? I think the Key and Peele show was so great, right? And a lot of people watch that. But if you look at movies on a much larger scale than what a TV show on Comedy Central is going to provide, right? So this was a box office movie. So we're talking about, maybe families are taking their, 4 or 5 year old, daughter or son to the movie to see. Maybe they just didn't know.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm serious. I'm thinking that
what are you talking about?
From like a branding perspective.
No, yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, so from the average person who doesn't necessarily know who Key and Peele is or are, and they don't know that brand of comedy, and they see this movie advertised as like this funny cat movie, are going to take maybe their children to see it. And then they go and they get this incredibly different thing. Yeah, it's cute. It's adorable. We have this cat, but like now you have this R-rated comedy, and there's that disconnect between what they thought they were getting and what they actually saw, because there's no way possible that somebody who knew what Key and Peele do and what their brand of comedy was and what they advertised this movie to be would go in and expect to see that would be this like egregiously upset by it. Right? Because a 1 out of 5 from somebody who knows what Key and Peele are, it doesn't track. It just does not track. I don't know. That's my take. I think there has to be a disconnect between the average person who saw the movie and what their expectation of it was, and what it actually.
I think that's what's eliciting like the strong reactions in people, and the thing that is sliding the scales a little bit more is people seeing maybe the trailer that we watched before this recording and being like, "Oh my god, that looks so fun!" About a little kitty cat that's going through this adventure with the guys from Key and Peele, and maybe you've only seen a select few Key and Peele sketches, or you've just heard from a friend or something like that at this time.
Pretty popular stuff, but not necessarily too racy. Yeah.
In my mind, it's like I would want them to go harder into the more gnarly, violent, sort of crazy shit, and really like juxtapose. Yeah, because I'm a fucking
why not?
Freak.
Yeah, why not?
I'm a freak. Yes.
Finally, hear ye. James,
we were saying about you while you were taking a break.
He is a goddamn freak.
I'm a goddamn freak.
I've been pitched as the fucking freak on this podcast for too long.
No, it was me the whole time. It finally
comes out. James is a freak himself.
That's
the
right.
Changing of the guards.
No, I want more.
All right, Steely Dan.
Learn to work the saxophone.
Oh yeah,
Steely Brand.
Cheers.
It's Steely Brandini. Yeah,
Steely Brandini. To you.
I had to pull it back to the original.
No, I
wanted
to be
right?
Yum wine.
Yeah, and over the break, you had the berry bomb, and I had a spill of my own. We're just on a double spill round, so Chip, be careful with your beverages, because
spill right now. Oh, you fucking,
ooh, he's careful.
You fucking spill.
Yeah, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I'd get a front spanking if that.
Ooh, I've never heard of those.
That's for another podcast.
Front spankings are my favorite.
I put my pants on backwards just for the occasion.
Easy access.
Talking about the A-sides, am I right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this movie, yeah, I mean, as far as reviews go, like in my history of this podcast, I feel like there's those like very vocal minority that really just lean into those 1-star, 5-star reviews of like really loving it or hating it. And for me, like most people like this movie, and the people that didn't like it really wanted that like more fun cat movie is my read on it. But sure. To have a certified fresh, critically reviewed action comedy in 2016, I think is an interesting specimen to look at for this podcast. I think it was worth it, and I would I
think it's worth it too. Yeah, I would say the same. Like, I understand
those are kind of hard to come by.
I understand the polarizing nature. It's just so funny to see the critics like build a movie up that's not really that great, based more so on like what it stands for. And I think that the critics are, pushing forward this agenda of like, we want more comedies in the theater, budget, made at this budget. We're excited about these two as talents, like all of those things. But whether or not this is like really that good of a movie, arguably has a relatively low bar. And it's funny to hear critics just go like, yeah, this movie sucks, but it's a stoner buddy comedy. So what, it doesn't have to be, it's not like every movie has to be Schindler's List. Am I right?
I walked in, that's what my review says, is I walked in this movie expecting Schindler's List. I did not get it, therefore it's a 1-star out of 5. Ever since Schindler's List, movies are just not the same for me anymore. I've noticed more and more movies are not Schindler's List.
It's like how there's A, D, and B, C. There's after Schindler, S, A, S.
I love how this character is like Werner Herzog experiencing. He's like, it's the most beautiful movie.
It's the most beautiful movie. There's these time periods, and now we are living in an existence that is post Schindler's List.
But he feels that way about Keanu. He's like, it's post Keanu.
Yeah.
It's the new Schindler's List.
It's Keanu.
Wait, leading up to that scene, I was just so furious that Keanu Reeves wasn't in the movie.
Well, he voiced the cat, though.
I know that, but I mean, that's like 90 minutes, almost like 70 minutes into the movie. Give him a
fucking cookie, Jesus.
But he shows up in the credits, so you're just like waiting for this epic moment.
He wasn't in the credit. He was at the scene with George Michaels.
No, but I'm saying he shows up in like the IMDb, and like, so for me, who had seen the movie, I saw the movie, quote unquote, saw the movie.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, but
gluttonous motherfucker.
You should have been in charge of the Allentown.
Hey man,
guys.
I will do that to you, and I gotta give it.
Yeah, you probably
got to roll back to Outback, man. They did a really good job.
Kookaburra shrimp.
I think Thomas was the guy's name. He took a really good job. He took care of us that night.
He took a good job by being an Outback employee and giving me my Kookaburra shrimp.
He cut us off, I think. He he was like, "You guys got to go to a movie. You can only get like 6 appetizers and like 4 beers."
The popcorn guy did not cut you up. He's like, "You need more. Here, take my popcorn."
That guy.
You were treated so well that whole night. I love that.
I wonder what the popcorn guy's up to these days.
Because that just proves the point of like when you're
being a nice person to whoever he's dealing with. He like, hey, I know the rule says this, but I'm gonna do this. Is probably what he's doing. Whatever he's doing, he's like, I'm gonna go above and beyond to give you a little extra.
Yeah, he really made that night. He kind of, in a roundabout way, he's kind of responsible for this podcast.
Why we're here right now, yeah.
Yeah.
To him, yeah. I mean, this isn't even a Brandini situation.
I think his name was Brandon, actually. So.
Oh, okay. Well, this is perfect. Yeah. Okay, to Brandon.
My man.
Here's to Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Chip, if you had any final words to say about the film experience, Keanu, and you were to ascribe a score from 0 to 100, 0 being the worst and 100 being the best, what would you give it?
So
give your take. Like,
so movie was fresh insofar as like, okay, so it has that like sketch comedy feel to it. It almost feels like a Scary Movie in a little bit, where they have like these different scenes which almost don't exist.
They have Anna Faris in it.
Not 1 through 4, but or like just 1 through 4, not 5. She was too old.
Too old. Yeah, too old.
I just wanted to make sure that was covered in this podcast.
Thank God.
No, it's so you jump through like these motions where it's like these almost like sewn together, shout out stitches, sewn together like scenes that are all put together, right?
Yeah, big time.
But it was a type of like almost sketch comedy movie that hadn't existed before, and where it was like this like crime comedy. At least something that I haven't seen enough movies to.
They're out there, but I get what you mean. I mean, it's that what you're saying is that premise is exciting, and I agree.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So I would say I would go for like 88.3 overall. Yeah. I really like the movie. I would watch it again.
Welcome back to 88.3.
It's a college radio station, in fact.
Yeah, welcome to 88.3.
I liked it. I would recommend it to people. I remember watching it last night. My favorite part about watching it was my fiance and I were watching it. And as we're getting into it, she's like, oh no, I can't watch this. This is too scary. This is too scary. And I was like,
because there's a cat involved, right?
I was like, yeah, she hates cats. No, like it's a comedy. no, because the murdering and the shooting and the beginning of it. And I was like, no, it's a comedy. Just stick around for a little bit. And she's like, this is actually pretty funny. So I think it's a relatable movie. It's fun. So 88.3.
I don't know if we've ever had decimal points.
Chip FM.
Fantastic. 88.3 Chip FM.
I'll do 88 if that.
No, please, no,
absolutely not. No, it's already
absolutely
in the books.
Not.
Already.
And the scale was broken by Danny, because we told you it's 0 out of 100. He decided to give a movie above 100.
I think it was like 140 or something for
140. Yeah.
Was that Malignant?
Yeah.
So our scale is, I should have said 0 to 140.
No. We're keeping it within 0 and 100.
No, I can't change my ratings.
Cannot play by the rules.
That's how good Malignant is.
You have to make an exception for the exceptional. Am I right?
Danny is pretty exceptional. Shout out to Danny, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Danny.
He's kind of like 140 out of 100 person. Yeah, cheers to Danny.
Cheers to Danny. Hey, cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, we love you.
Danny, we love you.
Congratulations, by the way.
The most featured guest on this podcast. By far, I think.
By far, yeah. He's been on like 6 or 7 episodes easily.
Mm-hmm. He's royalty.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Brandini,
James Deany.
Do you want to rock, paper, scissors?
Rock, paper, scissors.
All right.
What? Okay, wait. Hold on.
I'm just fucking with you guys.
Ready and go.
2, 3.
we got this one. One more time.
Okay. Okay.
And go.
Both paper. Go again. 1, 2, 3. Shoot.
Ooh.
You got dude on camera. Brandon. You were on
That's
camera.
What I did, right?
I don't know if that counted.
Oh, I destroyed his scissors with my rock. So what does that mean? I get to choose, I guess is what that means.
You get to choose.
I'll go first. Fuck it.
Okay.
I'll go fucking first. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Fucking do it.
See what happens.
You don't even give a shit. That's what we established in this episode. Is that you're actually a goddamn freak.
Yes, I am the freak. I wanted more freaky stuff out of this movie, but that does not detract it from being a good time. I thought this was, when you think of like an hour and a half fun action comedy, this overall fits that bill. I think my hiccups were with a little bit of stagnation with the Anna Faris scene and being in the car. Although one of the more classic things of like, my other criticism of like, oh, well, what do you remember this movie for? Because it is like a little bit forgettable, is the George Michael stuff. I think is really fun. And that's when that occurs, is when they're hanging out in the car. But I think it's not a resounding endorsement where I could list every single, memorable moment and put it on my list to watch again and again. But there's something alluring about this movie where I feel like it would serve a broad spectrum of people as a comedy goes. I feel like a lot of people could sit down and watch this movie and
just make sure you all wear sunscreen.
All right, Baz Luhrmann.
All right, Michael Mann.
Yeah, I just think I don't know. As far as comedies go, I think that's something that's to be applauded. There's an excellent pace to this movie that I enjoy. I know I just said it has a little bit of hang up, but I think for every bit of moment that there is a bit of a hang up, I think it brings it back with at least a joke or two that kind of keep you going. The performances are super solid. The writing is overall, again, solid. There's a couple things where it wraps up really quick at the end, but to have an hour and a half fun movie where you could throw it on while you're bringing 2 large tubs of popcorn with you, fall asleep,
dropping both of them,
drop both of them, and then come back years later.
Oddly specific.
Several years later. And re-experience it. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely not perfect, but it's a good time, and I would recommend it to people overall. So that would have to put it in the 60 to 70 range, and I'm trying to find the right number to put on this sucker. I'll do a 71.
Nice.
I think it's like
60. Cool now.
No.
No,
we're talking about the spectrum.
Front door.
I really like the movie. I loved it.
Yeah, because of that broad spectrum, everybody make sure to put on some sunscreen.
Okay.
For me, guys,
because he's going to be really hot. He's going to do like a 90 something.
No, just because it's sunscreen covers a broad spectrum of UV rays. Watch out. Okay, I'm gonna get on my soapbox.
Let me get my berry bomb ready for this.
Whoa, berry bomb. It's a great score because I think all of us can see that this movie isn't funny all the time. There are sags in it. Visually, I really detested a lot of this movie, but and weirdly come around a little bit more on the critic side of things, where there's a reverence for a stoner buddy comedy. And again, like I pointed out, is like, typically we see it a certain way. And I feel like this gives us enough of like, here's a different way of a buddy comedy existing that seems so natural and is so fun in a lot of ways. And I did have a good time. I mean, and yes, you know what really helps everybody out there listening? Short run time. You know what? Even if some of the jokes are stinky, you're in and out, and we're on to the next thing. And a lot, I would say there's a fair amount that is forgettable, but there's some stuff in here that I do think are funny and will remember. I'm gonna give this score. It's gonna join the hallowed halls of my comedy score rankings. You know what? Because I agree. I think it's important. It is going to get a 69%, baby.
Oh my God. You cheeky fucking bastard. He did it. I'm not even, we'd have to take account for how many 69s there are in this podcast. I know Spring Breakers is one of them, which is one of our very first episodes. So it's a nice callback. Before we go, I would like to play a brief, small little game of Magnetized. If you guys have some time.
I have all the time.
Let's do it.
We'll make it quick. Chip, we appreciate you so much. It is the universally beloved game Magnetized, the game where, much to the opposite effect of Polarized, it is movies that have the exact same score on Rotten Tomatoes as opposed to very, very polarizing scores.
Really,
they are magnetized scores. So all these movies will have the exact same numerical value by both audiences and critics on Rotten Tomatoes. And this is a very special Keanu Reeves edition where these movies all feature Keanu Reeves.
I love this so much.
And I'm not sure if we've done this one before. Chip, would you like to go first?
So, Chip, what you're doing is you are picking, James is going to say the movie, and you are going to pick the score that the audience...
I played this game before.
Okay. Yes,
I know this game. I'm not good at it, but I've played it.
I brought it up to them at Chili's.
Oh, we played it at Chili's?
We went to Applebee's. Let's get important because remember, there are a lot of major dollars on the line here in terms of potential deals.
Yeah, we went to Applebee's for Dollaritas, and we played
Magnetized in public.
Absolutely, yeah, while housing 9 appetizers and 15 drinks.
Well, officially, if anybody asks,
Chili's stock went down.
Officially, we did it for the first time at Outback.
9 appetizers and 15 drinks, $146.
Officially, if anybody asks, we did it for the first time at Outback, but
that's true.
That's not necessarily true, but
it's how you feel about it.
That's what we're going to tell people.
All right. Guess first. So do you understand the game?
Yes, I do. Yeah. All right. So I got to guess the score.
What is the score?
These are magnet. Well, you didn't tell me
I am about to tell you the movie, and I want you to tell me the score that is shared by both audiences and critics alike. The first one that I will tell you today is The Matrix Resurrections, the most recent Matrix movie. What? Everyone has agreed. This is a pretty wild out there movie, a sequel 30%. Coming years later, and everyone agrees on exactly how they feel about it. 30. Can you imagine? A 30.
78.
The most recent Matrix movie.
Most recent. We got a 30 from Chip. And we got a 78 from Brandon. We have a win for Brandon in the first round. It is a 63% from audiences and critics
without going over, to be fair.
No, it's not.
He is. Yeah. Well, I mean, if we were doing Price is Right rules, but I did not mention that before, and I do not care for those rules, so we are not doing them.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
I should have mentioned that to begin with. But yes, if you are trying to do Price is Right rules, you are not welcome here.
I don't even see the movie. I just heard people didn't like it, so I just assumed it would be really low.
No, people actually liked a lot of parts.
Have you seen Matrix Resurrections?
No.
I'd recommend watching it. I would recommend
just as a curio of
American compared to
I do really like
Indiana Jones 5.
What about that one?
How does it compare?
Oh, I like it over that for sure.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay.
More
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I really don't like parts of it, but I really like other parts of it. It's so weird. Like I'm polarized in my own mind about it. Which, is kind of Indiana Jones too. I'm like, oh, this is really fun. Oh, no, I don't like this.
No Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, he died in Vietnam. Spoiler.
Well, that was 4. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no Shia LaBeouf in either of them. Yeah. We did 4 on this podcast. That was fun. A classic Danny episode. All right. Are you guys ready for round 2? Brandini, you will get the first opportunity to guess on this one. It is another Keanu movie. It is a sequel. It is 1991's Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Shares the same score on both sides of the fence.
58%.
58% from Brandini for Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. What do we got for?
I think I'm going to go 65. Something about that number just sticks out to me.
It's a good number. Unfortunately, both of you guys are very, very close, but Brandini just takes it. It is a 56%. You were 2 off. I don't know how you get much closer than that. But
I just got the numbers transposed.
You did your damnedest. Yeah, you just switched them around. Man. You knew there was something special about those numbers.
Did your damnedest. Way to go, Chip. Hey.
Well,
close, but no cigar.
Kind of wins, but I mean, we could do a triple or nothing. If you guys
Let's do a triple or nothing.
Let's do it just for fun. Just for funsies.
Fun. Yeah.
This is going to be
disrupt this man's night.
Yeah, let's really fuck with him.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
This is obscure to me. I've never seen this movie, but there's probably many other people.
That should be the next segment we do.
This is obscure.
This is obscure to me.
Welcome to This Is Obscure to Me. Obscure and then it's like a very recognizable thing that's just obscure to me. And it's like, I don't know. This is the first time I've heard of this. And it's like,
Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah. A peach. I've never had a peach before. Has anyone had a peach? Oh, it's delicious.
James, you're all about peaches.
James and the giant peach.
I know. It's me now. It's me and the giant peach.
So late enough. No, this is me and a giant peach.
I want to
this damn giant peach.
Yeah, you're like the. Oh, there you are.
2024.
You're like the pit.
I'm the pit.
You're the pit.
Yeah, welcome to the pit.
Brandini pit.
Yeah. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
We're supposed to drink on those.
It was a stretch. Mm-hmm. All right, you guys ready for the last Keanu movie?
Yes, please.
It is from 1991. I'm going back in
Hardball.
time. It is a Gus Van Sant movie with both him and River Phoenix titled My Own Private Idaho.
Yes. That's a big deal.
Movie. I feel like that has to be Brandon, you got to guess first this time.
Nope.
It's to you if you want to guess first, but whatever you prefer.
Okay, so
do you want to do Price is Right rules this time, Chip? We can do it.
No, it's okay. No, we're not going to change the rules up. I'm going to say 73% on this one.
Okay.
85%.
85%. Oh, so close. And you really should have done those Price is Right rules because it is an 80%. Brandini is 5 off, 5 over. You are 7 under. And here we are again. Brandini taking it away with the 5-0 win.
He knows what he's talking about. He just knows what he's talking about. That's it.
Welcome.
He's
all right. Pull those pants down for that front spanking, little gentleman.
Congratulations.
Get him while it's hot.
Just came up right behind him and just chopped their dicks off.
Right? It was a double dick. Yeah, he did the double dick.
The 2 dicks.
Yeah, 2
hanging
dicks
from his neck.
One was like a long pencil.
Those tiny dicks. Are those tiny dicks? No, those are fingers. Those are fingers.
Thank you so much for joining me on this game of Magnetized. Thank you all for joining us on this wonderful ep of Polarized. Thank you, Chip, for being down. And I hope this is not the last time, but just the first in a series of Polarized podcast moments that we get to share together, because I think you're a natural and I had a great time, and you're a natural storyteller when it comes to going to the movies, and we're all about going to the movies. Yes, thank you so much. And Now I would like to reveal our next movie that we will be discussing. Well, I guess so. The next one will be. Wait, we're gonna do Ocean's 11, right, Brandon? But that's going to be for New Year's.
Yeah.
And this is probably after that. Now I'm confused. We're going to be doing Ocean's 11 for New Year's. We're going to be doing Home Alone 2 pretty soon as well. If not, we might have already done those. And this is coming out after is now what I'm realizing. So this is just an open-ended invitation to continue on with the podcast. It might be Die Hard with a Vengeance. I'm revealing all of my cards here, but those are some of the movies that we will be featuring on our lovely podcast. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves. If you are joining us for the Ocean's 11 podcast, I just want to say that's gonna be our oldest movie we've ever done. It's gonna be a New Year's episode. It's gonna be 48% by the critics and 81% by the audience. Very special ep. Otherwise join us for any of the other ones. Chip, again, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anything you want to share with the people, the person, you and I or Brandon that
no,
I didn't get to say earlier?
No, yeah, I think the only thing that I didn't get to say earlier was, thank you all for having me, and thanks for involving me in this. I know that my story was a little silly, but I'm happy that I got to tell it, and I hope that it inspired some people here who are listening in to check this movie out, because it really was a pretty fun movie. And
agreed.
Go have some fun with your buddies and watch it together.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
Don't spill your popcorn.
It's a funny movie. Yeah, have some fun with it.
Agreed. Brandini, anything else?
No, happy holidays to everybody. That's all I got.
Please reach us on twitch.tv/PolarizedPod, on X at PolarizedPod. If you want to send us a line on gmail.com/PolarizedThePod, we'd love to hear from you there. Any movie ideas, any segment suggestions, any love/hate mail. We love you all, and we cannot wait to be with you next time. And goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hello. Hello, motherfucker.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I'll breed his in.
Brandon Sand.